And it is alive. It survives. Which is we love to see. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this next round of Toonkind D&D. I am one of your humble FPSs today, Vwild, and I hold my monkey, and I am joined by the incredible and fabulous, the truly amazing in many capacities, wonderful person, dearest bestie, person who can without a doubt make me smile or sob in equal measure depending on the genre. Person who knew this was coming and yet still lined themselves up for this sniper shot of love. Introducing.
I did know it was coming, but it's always a delight to see what falls out of your mouth. Because you change it up every time. I love it.
I've got my hands on my hips in the ha-ha position.
Hello, everybody. My name is Whis, and I am playing Selli Alamos today for some chill time. We're not going crazy today. None of this having crises where you get yeet yourself out of a window. Not today, hopefully. Selli's offices are really high up. Oh boy.
Lynn could do it.
Lynn could do it. I worry about Selli though.
Selli is not allowed to do it.
Oh dear. But anyway, how's Lynn today?
Lynn? Honestly, doing pretty damn good. I forgot to roll her die, but let's see how we go. Yeah, no. Good day. That was almost a 69, and then it went down to a 9.
Nice.
So, Lynn's having one of her much better days than usual. Just taking the time to wrap up everything she's got on different occasions, sorting stuff out, filing it into different places. And as she's filing a particular, giant, thick-ass dossier of information, she has just gone, I should probably do the rounds of the check-ins. I have the instinctual urge.
Yes, the Pokemon files should be quite chunky.
They are chunky. It's even at some stage, I'd like to think that Jeeves has come in and just looked at part of one and gone, did I do that? And no.
I don't remember working on that file.
Just bruise the good tea at realizing, oh, she's done this one.
She doesn't need to read it. Oh dear. Oh dear.
She wrote it and has to read it. Brew the good tea.
Brew the good tea. Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Well, check-ins. So, how are you going to go about figuring out where she is? I mean, I think you know what her new and first ever only job ever in her life is, but
which is already something that she's going, I respect this is a brilliant thing, especially as toons go into things at any point in their life, as well as, oh, that is a real first job. Oh, honey. She's got a few quiet people on the down low. I have people in the area. I'm just going to keep a few tabs. Just a few. Just a smidge.
Fair enough.
But seeing as it's probably, during the proper full day, she doesn't want to interrupt family time as well. She looks at the family. That family has gone through so much up to and including Pokemon War and Dragon and other hot shit.
Yup.
She's gonna go to the university for once, just as a let plot not go to that house. We're not ensuing plot today. But let's just nip that idea in the bud.
Yeah. Alright. Well, I believe there is a teleportation circle that goes straight to the university, as well as one that is just a general university city station, if I recall correctly. And if I don't, well,
Mm.
I'm saying that there is. She will have one installed if there's not, because that would be silly.
Selli is helping everything from the managerial system, the school system, and the infrastructure.
Yeah, well, I mean, she lives in Toontown. She needs to have as short a commute as possible. But yes, so she will have set one up if there wasn't one already. I'm just going to say that you can teleport straight to the school, and it's probably somewhere in in the main square, I'd imagine, of the university. So it's near the main admin building. And what day of the week do you reckon it is? We're looking weekday or midweek?
I'd say midweek. It's Lynn's entire system of understanding a week is a bit shot, seeing as she works from home and there is a war going on and everything, and people just call up detectives at any odd hour on any odd day. It's a reason why they have a no case day now.
Fair enough. On call 24/7. It's like,
Yep.
okay, fair enough. All right. Well, midweek.
Yeah,
So
for shiggles, let's go Wednesday. Just for shiggles, I'm looking at the day it is today. Let's go Wednesday.
Yeah, why not? Wednesday it is. Yeah, so as you teleport into UPA University, there are quite a lot of people around, like students and staff. Like, it's not super duper ultra crowded, but it's fairly reasonable. And you can see the big admin building in front of you, and it's got administration over the front door, which is a fancy looking pair of double doors. But there you can also see a bunch of other buildings around. Has Lynn been to the University of UPA before?
I don't think she's been directly. I think she's happened to pick up information about it before, just as I wish to acquire knowledge. Just in case I have to go here in a hurry at some point because some shit goes down, or I need to get something from here, I will know, but it's just background information.
Sure. All right. Well, that being the case, do you want to roll them bones for a perception?
Ooh, roll them bones. That is gonna be a 13 plus 12.
Nice. Nice. If I can math in my head, 25. Yeah, I can do math in my head.
You can.
Sometimes. Yeah, all right. Well, with a 25, as you're moving towards the university building, you can actually, it's the admin building rather, you can see there is a site map kind of thing, like on one of those big boards outside in this sort of courtyard area, which is just as well because the university seems to be quite big, actually. And you can see that there is, like, if you're looking at the map and looking around, you can kind of see those builds, the close by buildings anyway, and where they're represented on the map. And there's all sorts of different departments and different buildings here. So there's the wizards building, and there's several libraries, and admin building obviously, and there's like all sorts. There's plant related stuff. There's specific stuff for all sorts of different schools of magic, not only wizardry but also druids and other spellcasters as well. But like basically everything that you could possibly think of as a university topic, there's that there. Like there's probably a building where the thing that you are studying in real life can be taught, stuff like that.
Yes, I have to beat back the feral urge now. This is not Lynn's interest. Hers is etymology and ink.
No, there's probably medical science and things like that, and probably linguistics. I think that there was a one that had looked like a book, but it wasn't a library. It was something about publishing. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, plenty of things. in this university, many of them with their own dedicated buildings. Others have joint buildings for like the smaller ones. And there's like a couple of misc faculties here and there.
Like, specifically, like, they usually have on really good campuses or university places a place that is specifically for lectures of any sort. It's just got the best quality lecture stuff possible there. So everyone just goes, okay, we're at least having one lecture in here once.
Yeah. So, like, it's a very big but very, very well equipped university. I'm not sure if you can tell I've never been to university or not from this description, but let's just go with what we got.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Someone who goes to university. Yep, it's a goodie.
Great, cool. But yeah, so as you move into the admin building, you can see there is quite a lot of things here. Like, it seems as though a lot of the staff have offices in this building. And there's all your normal front office-y kind of stuff, and a reception desk.
And I will say, as all of this has been going on, Lynn did take a good minute to like fully take stock of that entire map and everything. Get herself acquainted in person, sort of thing. Very much out of the way, everyone, because she knows she's short. She knows students can and will go over her, like in the anime. She ain't about to do that to someone, not on the middle of a school day.
Yeah, and while there's probably not as many students on campus as there was before we fought a dragon, stampedes are still a thing. So.
Lynn is small, and she might have a cane now so she can ward off things, and she can jump really damn high. At the same time, she's here going, I ain't about that life anymore. I'm not going to be caught in the stampedes.
Let's avoid that, yeah. Alright, so what is your course of action now that you have regarded the environs?
Probably, definitely, because the way to get to someone is she doesn't want to be that asshole who just bursts into an office and goes, hi, I'm here to take up all of your time now. So, today. So her protocol today is very much just going to be to calmly stroll into the admin building and then find the reception, the proper reception. And she's going to see if Ms. Selli, the headmistress, has any appointments free. Preferably today, but other days she can come back if convenient.
Okay. So the person who is at the reception desk has a little bit of a flick through on, you assume, some sort of ledger or possibly computer, one of those newfangled things, who knows.
Computers, they're very opaque and strange.
But yeah, she does have a look through there, and she kind of nods and she sits up a little straighter so that she doesn't have to like lean too much to be able to see Lynn.
She's short.
Now Miss Alamos does have some appointments free this afternoon. I have one at 2 p.m. and one at 3 p.m. What can I say the appointment is for, so I may let her know?
Let's see. Could you ask Miss Selli that it is a debriefing and direct relation to a case that she has assisted in with Detective Stagehand?
There's this pause, and she straightens up. And you can roll an insight on the receptionist if you like.
That is a 17 plus 8.
Nice. Yeah, so she has this look about her as if she knows what that might be about. Because it wasn't a secret about the dragon. And there were police and all sorts of things involved. So she's just sort of going to be a bit, she perks up a bit and goes, well, let me see. If it's important business, detective, was it?
Indeed.
Let me
Detective
see if I
Stagehand.
can reschedule some of her appointments. In that case, let me see what I can do here. What's the current time? I could probably get you in now if that was more convenient for you, Detective. I can move her appointments back by a small margin.
Of course, as long as it's convenient. I don't want to interrupt any of the busy life here. I understand everything's gone through some interesting management changes. As
Oh,
long as it doesn't cause you stress.
oh no, it should be fine. These are mostly internal ones rather than with anyone external, so that should be not a problem. I will get in contact with these people right now if you would like. And you should be right to go on up to her office right now if you should like, Detective. She doesn't have anyone in there with her at the moment.
Fantastic. Thank you kindly.
And she's going to sort of gesture towards this staircase that leads up towards the headmistress's office, and she's immediately getting to work trying to reschedule all these appointments so that you can have your pick. You don't have to wait around.
The joys of being a high class detective and being able to say these things.
Yes.
But there is a tip of the hat, and then she's just making her way. And also just thinking over, oh, how many meetings have you got? Oh, how many meetings have you got? Just makes her way along the corridor, that sort of stuff. Thankfully, most places do have, the names printed on the doors and sometimes even little pictures.
Oh yeah, for sure. And in this particular university, even though it's under new management now, the previous management, well, she was a bit of a show off. The headmistress's door is a bit fancy looking. So you can kind of tell. But yeah, it does have a nameplate on it. But it does just say Headmistress. It doesn't have Selli's name on it.
Alright. And she makes sure she looks presentable for a moment. Adjust the skull brooch, brush down the skirt, that sort of stuff. Just because. And then she's just gonna give a little knock, just.
Yeah, and there's just going to be this pause, and then a very soft from the other side. Oh, come in. And I'm going to roll her a con to see how tired she is. I'm going to do it at this. Okay. So that's a 15. She's actually keeping it together pretty well.
She's just recently had one of the pick-me-up drinks.
Yep. She's just come off her 15-minute break.
Yeah, you catch your second wind. You catch your second wind.
Yep. But no, she's called out, come in.
And Lynn will open the door and just poke her head in first, just so it's not a surprise person.
Okay.
And then she's just coming in. Have a quick cursory glance around sort of deal.
Sure. Well, the first thing that you will notice is that Selli is sitting at a fairly large desk in the middle of this big office. Like, this is bigger than your office. Like, your main one where you have clients. And that's like a living room. This place is humongous, and it has huge bookshelves with lots and lots and lots of books. And she hasn't even really looked up as you've come in. She wasn't really expecting to have any visitors. So, like, she's kind of expecting, the receptionist or something. So she's just still working, head down, doing some paperwork.
How much paperwork is on this desk, if I might ask?
Look, Lynn's had worse on her desk, but she's definitely had better as well.
It's definitely one of those, we know that there's the major shuffle going on at the moment, along with everything else in your life.
And she's got a little abacus off to one side, just like a really small one, and she'll occasionally go and flick a few things over there and back to doing her paperwork and look at something on her other side. And Like she's going a mile a minute, quite frankly. And like while
Mm-hmm.
she's has recently had a break and is refreshed, she looks like she's been going hard for a number of days in a row.
Lynn takes stock of this and then is just very calmly and quietly just going to go into her hammer space because you need tea. You are burning the candle at both ends. You are going to get the tea. And so it's just the puts her new cane at her side, goes into hammer space, pulls out the serving platter of the tea stuff, and then just shuffles that into one hand and then the cane back, and then just goes, Miss Selli, pleasure to see you again.
Sally will perk up, partially in a little bit of a surprise because nobody calls her Sally at work. But she does perk up and then look over at you. Lynn, I wasn't expecting you today.
You know what they say, I'm full of surprises.
You certainly are. To what do I owe the pleasure?
A few things on that front. Nothing bad, nothing terrible. But I've managed to secure an appointment with you because, well, a lot has been happening recently. Thought perhaps a check-in was in order. Debrief.
Oh. Oh, well, I mean, I suppose we haven't really talked since we came back from, well, from everything. It has been a while now, hasn't it? It doesn't seem like it's been that long at all, but... No, all right. Please, we don't have to sit at the desk. And she makes a motion, and there's a small little like a coffee table and some little armchairs off to one side. And she'll stand up from the desk and motion that way.
Pick and fantastic. Although I can wait a minute if you're wrapping up anything.
Oh,
Far be it from me to distract someone mid-sentence.
oh no, it's quite all right. It's definitely something I can pick it up afterwards. It's probably a little bit more rambling than it needs to be. I did just come back from a break, but it's fine.
I'm glad to hear on that front. Please, let's take a seat. And I'll figure out how to juggle this. And she does look down at her arm, and it is a amused look at the serving platter. She's kind of she's not holding it in the butler pose. She's holding it half to her chest, just like brace the entire tray against her.
She's just gonna blink at that. Why do you have a tray of tea? Oh my goodness. Here, allow me. And she's gonna come and take it in both hands.
We are avoiding calamity with a good cuppa.
I think avoiding calamity is probably a good idea under most circumstances.
Oh, indeed, indeed.
Now, remind me, did Lynn have her cane during the finale?
No, she
I
did
don't
not.
think she did she? Yeah, okay.
She did not.
Yeah, all right. You want to roll an insight, I guess.
Indeed. That is a 15 plus 8.
All right, let me roll a deception just for shits and giggles. What's your deception? Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. All right, Lynn still wins. That's pretty high, but Lynn still wins. That's fine. So Sally has taken the tea tray and she's going and putting it over near the on the coffee table rather. But she's sort of looked back at Lynn and has looked Lynn up and down, and then very pointedly and a little confusedly looking at Lynn's cane.
Something I picked up recently. I'm rather fond of it, honestly. Suits my design.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to stare.
Don't be. It's part of the reason why I got it. People notice. If they're looking at that, they're not looking at the rest of the activity, eh?
I suppose that's one way of looking at it, but I'm sorry that you've needed to pick one up at all.
Nonsense. I needed it, perhaps, but I also wanted it. And it was something I was going to get at some stage eventually. And the way I got it was a strange gift, so I'm taking it as a good sign.
Well, I'm glad you don't hold any ill will towards having mobility aids. Some people do struggle with the concept when they've had it for not very long.
Oh, I've noticed that with a couple of people. But I think it's gonna do me some good, and hey, when we need help, it's good to ask for it or gain it.
That's true, yes. But please, come and sit down. It wouldn't be any good to have you standing there in the doorway.
Indeed, indeed. I do make an excellent doorstop, but another time.
Oh, yes, perhaps. And she's going to sit down in one of the armchairs. Very prim and proper. She doesn't slump into the chair at all. She's very, very dainty with the way that she sits.
Lynn does make her way over, and she too does sit very prim, very straight back. There isn't any slouching. There is the cross of the ankles, that sort of stuff. And she looks relaxed, honestly, is one way of putting it.
Selli will give one of those little I don't have a mouth smiles that little Pokemon-y kind of do. So is your work going well since the last time I saw you?
Oh, aye. The wrap-up of everything has been going very well on this case. On other passing cases I have. And work on another big one is... it goes. It comes and it goes. As it will. But everything's been going well on my end. And you?
Well, I think things are going well. Honestly, I haven't been able to turn very much attention to the Isles as much as I would have liked. I've thrown myself so deep into the university, I've not really had the time or energy. But everything seems to, from all reports anyway, Kantos and Johtos are both business as usual for the most part.
Well, that's good. Settling into something normal. We always love to see that.
I haven't been back for a while. I am worried about Johtos. I don't know whether or not the gravity of what my father did has really landed, and that he's not coming back. I'm not sure if they expect me to leave the island now, or I haven't been able to go back and speak with anyone or speak with Yorn. But it's been hard because I got myself so caught up in all of this.
It's easy to get oneself swept up in, well, being a leader of something here. An organization, a large one at that. University is making incredible.
Yeah, very, very large. And suffered so much. The previous headmistress saw it as nothing more than a means of making money. And the university was known for such quality education. But the education was compromised under her leadership because all she wanted was the most talented students. Would it be incorrect of me to assume that you've looked into it after seeing us in the paper?
As much as I could, yes. It's I make it a habit to understand every situation that comes about, even if I'm not directly involved.
Hmm. Yes, well, I also did get a letter or two from Rai. He was worried that not only me, but several other people he's quite fond of fought a dragon. Of all things, I'm not sure that I've still really internalized that as a concept, but
Mm.
it was strange. I wasn't actually as afraid of her as I probably should have been.
That happens from time to time in fights. Logically, you should be scared out your wits, but sometimes they're just mortal, and sometimes you just want to kick them in the teeth.
Yes, unfortunately, the teeth kicking is not exactly my area of expertise, but we had quite a good number of support for experts in that area. You almost would have enjoyed the confrontation, I'm sure.
Perhaps indeed.
But the things that she was doing, even if we overlook the fact that she was a literal dragon with a literal hoard of gold underneath the school,
Hmm.
through a secret tunnel that I still have not figured out what I'm going to do with. It's over there. She kind of nods at one of the bookcases.
Always a bookcase. Always a bookcase.
Mm. But the things that she was doing, like all of these books, even it is probably the most minor thing, but none of these books were read or looked after. I picked one up and the spine cracked and it was caked in dust, and it was heartbreaking. And then the things that she was doing to the staff, cruel and made my blood boil. I don't think I've ever been that angry. The things that my father did made me upset, but the things that this person did made me angry. She treated everyone in this campus, the staff and the students, as disposable, as worth nothing except the gold that they could generate for her. It's why that things got so bad for Scribbles that they tried to take his life. And we almost lost him and Scratch. And she didn't care. She didn't care what kind of attitude he had. He was exceptional. He is exceptional. And as far as she was concerned, he could publish his research and make her lots of money, and she didn't care about anything else. It's not what schools should be like. And also the mind control magic is certainly put me offside as well.
It really is a situation. And makes sense why she made you angry. There are many things that are far out, and yes, they affect people, but they seem so extreme. And then you meet someone so painfully mortal and painfully doing things just for greed. It is truly a horrific world sometimes when those sorts of people are in it. But just as there are bad people like that, there are good ones to see things right. It's tricky when people like that lay in their roots, bury things deep, get everything exactly as they want it, and keep building up the generations of it, but just like a tree, it can be uprooted and something new put in its place.
Yes. I'm hoping instead of a tree, we have a garden for the university. Because it's not all
Well,
about me, it's all of the staff, all of the students, the ones who have stayed and the new ones who have joined are quite remarkable. I make a point of going to each of the departments and sitting in on some of the lectures, and all of the teachers are at the absolute head of their fields. It's no wonder that the university has a reputation for the education that it does. They're all exemplary teachers, all very talented. I'm very lucky to have their support. I wouldn't be able to do this without them.
indeed. They care, and so do you. And it's good to have that support, to lean and figure out how things work together. You're quite right on not making a pillar. The world doesn't need pillars. It needs many people. It needs a network, a group of people working together to hold things up, to make things better. And you've got that here.
Is that why you've built yours?
Indeed.
Hmm.
And she looks off to one side for a moment, out likely one of the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Just very calm expression, just the slight crinkles at the corners of the eyes, that sort of thing. Just. It's a very serene look almost. Very much one of an older detective. She just goes, I grew up well. I had a good upbringing, but you still see things through the cracks. You still see all the people in the background. The people who need help. The people who can't get it. And the people who want to help but don't have the capabilities. And of course, the people who are in power and could do things, but, well, words I shall save for other places. I'll censor myself a little.
Oh, please don't feel as though you must. It's only you and I here. I don't hugely mind. But no, you're quite right. It's, well, setting everything in the university right has definitely been an undertaking, and I think it's going to be continuing to be an undertaking for a while. There has been hits to the reputation of the university because of her negligence, and, well, leaving things as they were would have been easier, but this is worth doing, so I don't mind putting in the work.
The proper work to do it right. It's a major undertaking. And I believe, as you said before, your first job.
Yes, it's, well, I'd volunteered at the library back at the Hall of Origin in Johtos, but it doesn't hold a candle to this. It's very, very different. While I am doing quite a lot of calculations and budgeting and whatnot, I'm very lucky that we happen to have someone on staff who's even more suited to this than anyone I've ever met. They're actually from No Man's Land, actually. They're very talented in this department.
Huh. They're fantastic on that front. They're all good at the numbers over there.
We're very lucky to have them on board. And for them to stay on board after everything. It's...
When people can see good change coming, they're willing to give it a go. Inkwell is built on hope, as I will say time and time again. And when people see hope, well, it's something they want to grab onto.
Thankfully, hope can be spread.
Indeed.
Like seeds.
Like a garden.
Yes, indeed. And we have been flourishing. I've had ads out for new teachers and hoping to open more classes. And I'm planning a few events, hoping to bring the reputation of the university back to something that can be respectable, that the students that are coming out of this university at the end of the year, who are graduating this year, they'll not just be the ruling class of any of those groups. Education is for everyone, and the duty of the teachers is to make sure that everyone has come away with the information that they need to succeed in their fields. Rather than just letting the talented survive and those who aren't picking up the material to be left behind.
They're not just numbers. They're people. You see that?
Precisely. And it's part of how one should teach. If there are students who are failing your classes, that's a failing of the teacher rather than a failing of the student. At this level, at least, there will be some students who try their hardest and it's just not clicking no matter which method you use, and perhaps they're not suited to it. But if the teacher cannot teach and is not willing to give the students who are falling behind the additional assistance that they need, then that's a failing on the teacher. And you will have students who don't want to put in the effort, that they just want to waste time and waste effort and waste a coin. But that's, if they're not passionate about it, there's nothing much else that can be done. So it's a bit of both, really.
Indeed. It's all complex questions and answers and figuring out things. One of the things I actually admire about teachers is how they're able to look at a situation and figure out which course of action to take. It's their good ones. It's understanding how to help, why people need help, who best to help. There are systems in place for those that are struggling, or those that are thriving and just need a little push.
Isn't that remarkably like what you do?
Indeed. Indeed it is.
Selli sort of shifts in her chair a little bit and then leans forward slightly. Lynn, have you ever considered becoming a teacher?
I admit it's mildly crossed the mind. I've got to admit I'm not one for a academic setting. I've got a bit too much energy. I like attending lectures, giving one or two on that sort of front, and one of the reasons why everything with Rai, he's wanting to become a detective, so I've taken him on as an apprentice. I'd done that for a few detectives in the past. It's not many of them still stand, but I bring people under my wing, give them a little apprenticing, show them the tricks of the trade, try and teach them what I can, and then let them go on.
She has her hand at her chin now. You say that you're not made for academics, but you should meet Alamos. He's got just as much energy, if not more.
Oh, you see me when I'm putting on the front on that front. Try and stick me in a classroom too long. You'll see. You'll see. The tail starts going first.
Oh, then you don't have to teach from a classroom. This is what I'm getting at. Our theatre department hardly has any classrooms at all. It's all done on stage in the orchestra pit. It is all practical, for the most part. If there was something that you wanted to teach, I'd be more than happy to take you on as a teacher, and I can guarantee there'd be people who would want to learn from you.
Roll me insight, if you like.
Sure. It's your insight. Nice.
Lynn's got high DCs, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what you can get.
Oop, if I can type. There we go. 18?
It's lower than her standard DC, but we'll see what we can work with, mate.
I'm also gonna, just for shits and giggles, roll a persuasion.
Hmm. 18 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
You can see an interest. It is there, it is present. It is in her eyes as she's looking at you. There does seem to be levels of reluctance, but not in a never in a million years way, more in a this monkey understands herself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see her trying to figure out words. You're not getting all of it. You can actually see a little bit of flashery in there. You're not gonna lie. But one of the things she does she takes a minute to process her thoughts and goes, I am aware that my expertise are, how to put it, homeschooled sort of thing. I had an informal education for most of my stuff. I've got certifications and that sort of stuff, but once I was able to be a detective, that's where my entire life went. And I've picked up things. I've read a lot of things in different literatures and such. Chromatography. Oh, that's an area of study. I've had a few lectures. I've listened in on a few lectures. Probably. I've written a lot of papers on the topic. It's the rambled stuff. It could never get published, that sort of thing, but...
Oh, you would be surprised. And even if the wording needs adjusting, we have people here at the university who are very good at that. Scribble's got help preparing his paper for publication.
And I do also admit, with my line of work as is and such, I'm also looking into learning again myself. It's the Halloween Town University. I might have found a real nice tree where I can listen in on a few lectures outside. I'm aware of my conditions and my lifestyle of plot and protagonism that it's difficult to hold down another outside job such as this, but if you had need for me for a guest lecture or such, I'd be happy to help. More than happy to.
She gives a little excited little clap. That would be spectacular. With your expertise, I can imagine they'd be full houses. And from what Rye has told me, there's actually quite a lot of people in your industry in UPA, so we might get quite a lot of people from outside the university coming to attend those.
It's picking fantastic on that front. The upsurge we've had in the past 2 years, I am honestly gobsmacked. We didn't... You should have seen the statistics for one-year detectives back in the day. We didn't make it like this. I was an incredibly big outlier doing this a decade. It's incredible to watch so many survive and thrive. It's more than I could have ever hoped for.
I can feel what that sentiment feels like. I feel the same with Rye. You've given him such a wonderful life. He's living and thriving in much the same way as all your other detectives. It's incredible to see. He's not the same boy he used to be.
He gets to be himself. That's all I could ever want for him. I can see him wanting to take after me, but I just want him to be the best him possible. And he will be. He already is.
I'm glad. I'm glad I get to see it.
Indeed. It's a good thing on that front. Us thriving as well, but getting to watch those around us bloom and flourish. That's the most rewarding thing.
It is. And work is actually relatively satisfying, actually, I must admit. It's certainly different to what I was doing with my life before I left Jotos, but this is satisfying. It's busy. It definitely is busy, but very, very different. I have had to learn so many things.
Oh, you learn a lot off the cuff being in a business of power. You're making sure to know when to defer, and right? Have you got a personal assistant beyond the receptionist?
No, she has her own tasks. I'm still trying to fill out the staff roster. There is quite a lot I'm doing myself. We had... I didn't really look into how much information went out in the papers, and I'm not sure what information you were able to get afterwards, but the previous headmistress was using magic embedded into the employment contracts of the staff here in order to control them. And when she was removed, there were many of them that were suddenly able to leave the university, and even with this promise of a better workplace, they wouldn't have a bar of it. It was nothing against me, it was
What they've been put through.
What they'd been put through, and being in the university was just too painful. So we had quite a lot of staff leave, and with the reputational damage, it's been difficult getting people to come back. It's been slow, but it has been happening. But I've been prioritizing the student-facing staff first, rather than for me. But it will happen eventually.
The students are incredibly important, especially with the role of a headmistress. You are managerial, administrator, and pastoral all in one, that sort of thing. But it is also important that you are well. I've got a few people in the university sort of sway things. Got a few people in my circles of networks. If you take recommendations, I'm sure I can get you a good personal assistant. Someone who'd be willing to come.
If you could, that would be a great help. Most people that we've interviewed have had the wrong idea about what we're trying to achieve with the complete overhaul of the university. And
I mean, it's not just you, it's the Wizard Guild and such. There's a lot of work into efficiency and clout nowadays. It's not something me or one of my associates are particularly fond of, even if they work within the system. But I've got a few people that I can possibly pull for you there. Get you some help.
I would be endlessly grateful for that then.
Think nothing of it.
I did want to actually ask. Rai mentioned something in one of his letters, and I was actually a bit surprised. Are you nobility?
Oh, yes. A Viscountess. Within Halloween Town.
Oh yes, you did mention that when we had visited Kantos for the first time, but it was a lot on my mind, so it didn't really land either. That's remarkable.
Think nothing of it. It was a nice venture that happened. I know the leader there. He's found family, Jacques, mayor of Halloween Town. It's a great guy. Pick and fantastic. Makes good bread.
Oh, I see. Yes, it's not something that I've really considered as something one could give out or earn. It was just something that I was born with. It's quite surprising, really, but I suppose I never really gave it much thought.
When it's a part of your life, that's all it is. On the plus side, unlike a few stuffy nobles I've met in the past, and a few I've tangled with, you actually seem to have a good head on your shoulders and a good eye. You notice things, you see things, and you want to make things better. You're not just sitting back on your laurels sort of thing.
I can't afford to.
Hmm?
There's too much at stake.
Indeed.
I will have to make time to go back to the Isles, though. I haven't had a chance to look through Father's things.
And Lynn does actually pause at that and then just very slowly reach across the distance and put her hand on Selli's just. How are you coping with all of that?
There's this long sort of pause. I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't know.
That's all right.
I haven't given myself time to really think about it. Every waking moment lately has almost exclusively either been work or helping scribbles or looking at the construction site, although I've not really been out there much. I haven't had really time to think about everything, including everything to do with my father, but I will have to make time.
It's when great upheavals happen, we often latch onto one thing that we can control, that we can help with, and put all of our effort into it. And it's incredibly good to put our effort into it. But we do also have to take that time for ourselves. Or it will eventually take us over. But it's a difficult set of circumstances you're in, and I am sorry that you have been placed in that position.
It was his doing, and as his eldest, a lot of responsibility comes to me.
How so?
Well, that is how I know that he intended for me to be some kind of successor to him. He wasn't going to live forever. Especially not with, as we discovered, those life locks he had in place. But I never really knew the extent of what he had wanted me to take over. I had assumed that it would be some sort of administrative position over Johtos, but I didn't even know Kantos existed. And I've also almost been thinking that it's easier to think of him having passed away rather than being in jail for the rest of his natural life. But that doesn't seem fair either.
No. He hurt a lot of people. And I can't say how jail will treat him, whether he will learn or whether he will keep as he is. He hurt a lot of people, including you. None of this is your fault, by the way. None of it.
I try to keep that in mind.
I know it's hard, but it's a truth. And take that from an old hat who's seen a great deal. Where you could, you tried. And where you didn't know, you couldn't. But you have done everything you can, and you will continue to do everything you can. You are.
Frightened me then. He really did. I don't remember him being terrifying when I was growing up, but as an adult, as someone who, as I had the capacity to look at the things he was doing and start questioning them, and seeing how he reacted to some things, he was terrifying. I feel as though I'm stronger now, having left, than I've ever been, but had he come to stand before me, I don't know what I would do.
That's understandable. A lot of people feel the same way in similar circumstances. He is your father, and he was someone who had a lot of control over everything. And you knew him for all of your life.
Is it wrong for me to... A part of me wants him to clean up his own mess. But I know that he'd never bent his back to it.
He is a man haunted by the past and trying to wrap the future to it. He was his own Ouroboros. And yes, it's completely understandable to want him to change his act and do better and see what he has done. And I can't provide you with an answer to that. I can't provide a solution that will make him. You may never get that closure on that front. But we can learn to move on. And it hurts. And you love him. And you can be horrified and terrified by his actions and still have conflicting emotions about him, and that is okay. That's natural.
Do you want to roll me a perception?
Indeed. That is a... That's an emoji. Please don't give me emojis. Perception?
Perception, yep.
30.
I love Lynn's stats. I do. Alright, yeah, no. Selli has kind of turned her head away from Lynn a little bit and is not looking at her. But with a 30, god damn. Yeah, she's starting to tear up a little bit and she's tense. She's trying to stay dignified and not cry. But it's tough going.
I booked a long appointment, and Between you and me, we don't need pretenses. It's healthy to let out your emotions. I won't judge.
She sort of draws in a deep breath and then just rubs at her eye a little. And Lynn can sort of see that just the act of sort of acknowledging that she was about to cry has made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And she does have tears rolling down her cheek a little bit now. It might be, but I don't want to shed tears for him. I don't. He's not dead, and also he doesn't deserve them.
But you do. You deserve the chance to grieve and to be mad. No, he's not dead, but a part of him that you saw is. And you have been through a great deal, and you have witnessed a great deal. And a lot of what you once knew has been changed or torn away. You are allowed to grieve that past. You are allowed to grieve him in that capacity. And no, he doesn't deserve it, but you deserve kindness, Selli.
I have kindness. I am shown so much kindness every day. With all of my staff and the scribbles and a wonderful family. I wouldn't be able to do anything without that kindness. Before I left with scribbles, it was indifference. People knew me, they saw me, they were polite. Waved hello, it wasn't kindness though. Whereas scribbles showed kindness and has continued to. And through him, I've met so many wonderful people, and kindness is all I receive. So I have kindness. More than I know what to do with.
And are you giving it to yourself?
I don't know.
Well, you're in a place of learning. What a wonderful place to try and figure that out.
Yes. The answer will be here somewhere.
You'll find yourself. You're in a garden. And you're gonna bloom and thrive as well. And the past will be left in the past. And eventually, perhaps you'll be sitting on a sofa in your new home. Or perhaps you'll be here in this office, or perhaps you'll be at one of those events and you'll be able to look. And you'll be able to see yourself. The past is not here. Remember it. But know the present and the future as well. You're a good person, Selli.
She's still trying to not cry. Like, she's cried a bit. I'm not gonna lie, she's cried a bit. But she does sort of wipe at her cheek, and she does seem to be blushing a little bit and glowing ever so slightly.
Lynn knows that from her kid. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That or when Network's throwing a temper tantrum and we don't. Thankfully, not that.
Yes, there are
Distinctions.
distinctions. something of a scale, dichotomy of scale thing happening there.
Yeah. I guess while we're in rocky topics, there is actually something I'd like to say. Thinking of way back when you learned I was a Viscountess, I wanted to apologize for something from back then.
Apologize?
With everything with Nick. One of the ploys, one of the gambles I used. I scared you.
She sort of straightens a little bit and does go tense again. Well, yes. I feel like I probably know you slightly better now than when that was all first happening. It was all happening very, very quickly, and it wasn't the first time you had frightened me. But I'm not afraid of you, Lynn. I was frightened. I didn't know how far you would take things, whether or not you meant what you said, and I don't still think that you would have put any of us in harm's way like that. It was all quite a lot at the time.
It was actually kind of what I was banking on. It's hectic situations. Throwing up smoke, throwing things in their eyes. That sort of thing. I was banking on you not knowing me. How to sell something, how to get the best results is to have a grain of truth. And sometimes that grain of truth is yourself, and sometimes that is the reactions of others. And well, Stagehand, I know how to set up a good scene.
And it has a desired effect, I suppose. Nick was woefully dim.
Aye, that he was. Not till the last. But
that's the sadness of it all, isn't it, though? All of those who were helping him, they never knew anything different. All they knew was him, what he taught them.
They were raised on it. Indoctrination.
And they spoke as though he had done everything for them. They owed him so much. And perhaps they did, but it's too late to have anything different for them now. And God only knows what kind of situation they found themselves in now.
And maybe Unbecome will be kind in light of that. In light of every part of the situation. We can hope.
Perhaps one day he'll come before me again, and maybe I'll have the courage to ask, but perhaps not.
Indeed.
It's such a strange thing. knowing my deity is there and has likely been several meters away, and I had no idea.
The fact that the divine can be so close is definitely something I try not to dwell on for the most part. It is intriguing how close they can be. I mean, we have gods walking among us nowadays. My god in town.
There's a bit of a blink blink. There is a god in Halloween Town?
Oh, a few gods scattered about. In fact, Whis has Rena and such. Newish development within Halloween Town. We have Corvitz, god of Halloween. Absolutely fantastic guy. Very fun. I'm fond of him as mine. He's good.
She kind of leans a little bit. As yours?
Aye. You're not the only cleric in the room.
Oh. Oh, well, congratulations, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not publicizing it at the moment, but yeah. It's new. Strange. Something I didn't think was possible, all things considered, with my past, but...
Oh, why ever not?
Cleric magic and I didn't mix for a few years. Let's just put it that way.
She's tilting her head to one side. Lynn doesn't need to roll an insight. She's like, go on. Elaborate. I desperately want to know.
I'll spare you the misses, but I couldn't interact with cleric magic. I tried to read it. I tried to understand it by picking gods. I tried to understand it, but other factors refused to allow it to click. That one did, thankfully. But
oh, well, Lynn, I could have told you why that might have been.
Oh?
I've been a cleric for a long while now. And it's not a matter of understanding. Certainly there is some academic element to it, understanding what spells you're casting, but where it comes from, the reason it clicks, is faith. Well, I haven't had particularly many interactions with Unbekant, and most of them have been recent. I knew what he stands for, and had faith that he was guiding things, and I had faith in what he stood for. Without that faith, the magics of a cleric will be out of your reach. So this Corvitz of Halloween, you must have a lot of faith in him indeed.
Aye. Aye, that I do. We've got similar goals in mind. He's a good man.
That's probably one of the more startling things that we discovered over the course of this whole thing. That even the gods they're just men. In a roundabout way. Unbekant was upset when we were speaking to him in the Hall of the Dead. Regret for what the things he'd done and could do nothing about. well, I wouldn't have expected him to be all powerful. The limitations that he had on himself, whether or not by design or otherwise. But he still came forward to try and put things right, even if he couldn't actively help us in as many ways as he wanted.
Sometimes all anyone can do is try. I admit it's terrifying to me that the gods can make mistakes. That I have witnessed enough of it on that front.
There are too many of them for them to be perfect. Far
Indeed.
too many.
And they can't understand us fully, and we can't understand them fully. But there is overlap, and there is something intriguing in that. Hopefully enough things go right, and enough helps come when needed, and the mistakes are merciful.
Yes.
You need good people in power. I've seen the bad side of power. People who lord over others, people who hold the chains, people who mess with minds. We've seen those that mess with minds, those that mess with history, at all different levels, at the divine and the mortal, down to the very bottom and to the very top. There are people like that. We just have to keep it on.
That's right. It keeps us out of mischief, I suppose.
Or throws us into new mischief.
Yes. Yes, it does. But I like this new routine. This new mischief. Every day I still marvel that I actually managed to land the job. With no prior experience and very little apart from enthusiasm and determination behind me.
You're in the eye of a storm. You're doing it well.
Thank you. From you, that means quite a lot. The university is large, but I'm sure your network is far bigger.
Oh, Hankwell and wider. And, as I say, top all the way down.
Well,
one bit of advice I can give, I guess.
Oh, I'm all ears to advice.
And she looks off to one side for a moment at the tea set. And then she just... There is something in her gaze just for a moment. She goes, you always have to know that you will make mistakes. That you will be out of your depth. That there will be days where things are incredibly hard. And sometimes your best isn't good enough, or sometimes something that you thought would work so beautifully won't. And it will keep you up at night sometimes. And some of the things you've done, sometimes they can't be solved, and sometimes you will have to live with that, but for every mistake you make, there will be good. For every surprise turn of events that you didn't realize, there will be positives that can come of it. Lean on those around you. Learn to defer. Learn to seek advice. Learn to trust in the people around you. You have a good family. Very good pagan partner. and all the people around you. Listen to them as well. Know yourself and know when to own up to those mistakes and when to seek help. And learn to talk to people. Therapy. It can be very useful for people like you and I.
Oh, very good advice.
And of course, always find the positives. Even if it's just one thing a day. One thing a day. That's what I look for. That's what I want. And I want you to find as well. It's once a day. Do something nice for yourself. Don't plan for it. Just when you see it, just take it. Now that might be taking a moment when the sun's out to just go and sit for 5 minutes and breathe. Or it might be an extra cookie with scribbles and scratch and marigold. Or it might be a quick conversation in the hallway. Could be anything, but keep finding those positives every day, because when the bad comes, you always need that bright glow just to see you through. That's why life's worth living.
Lynn can tell that Selli's smiling at all of that, and she sat up straighter and gives a very positive look and nod. I will. And you're right. One can't be so caught up in all this that the joy of life is left on the wayside.
I take that from someone who burned themselves too far. It's difficult, and as a workaholic myself, someone who always wants to do the next thing for the people around me and under me. But you're already making a world of difference to many people. You're a delight to see.
She's glowing again.
And Lynn just slightly leans back from where she had straight up gone mild mental mode. She likes taking people under wing, and she knows how to do it. And she does just back to being equal sort of thing, and she does just laugh. Here I am rambling on. I tend to do that. I tend to just go on tangents. Give excellent, so I'm told.
Yes, we certainly must discuss what kind of topics you would like to teach with your one-off lectures. When you can find time, of course, between your various cases and whatnot.
And there is a plot line that is going to keep me away for a period. It's when it blows over. And it will end. And we will all come out the other side of it. That I can guarantee. But when that's over, I would love this. Genuinely.
Is there any support that I can give?
I don't know. And that's definitely something for someone like me to say. But look after your own. Cherish everything that's here. Keep up the good work within this place. In fact, everything you're already doing with this institution. From the students teaching them about true knowledge, about care. With what you're doing in here with these books, where it's restoration and care, not preservation to go stale. Not just hoarding, not just collecting. Keep caring. Keep trying to show that care. That's the best on that front. As we know.
nods again.
As we know, the world doesn't need a pillar. It needs many people, all tackling the problems together, all holding each other up. When you don't have that, that's how the evil gets in.
Well, I wish you all the best in your plot lines. And if there's anything that I can do to support you the way that you've supported us, please do let me know. I am not very good in combat, but...
We don't need everyone good in combat. You need people in every capacity, in every facet of life. And I think you're perfect. Just the way you are. Where you are. Well, always room to grow.
She blushes. Well, I trust that you'll let me know if there's anything I can do. But outside of that, perhaps you and Faber will both be at staff meetings together.
Oh, that'd be a pick and delight. Do be warned, I might ambush him every now and then. There might be a book thrown. He's delightful to scare. I'm sorry. I know it's the Halloween town in me. I know I'm a spooky, scary monkey. He has it coming.
No, I approached him after I was having a conversation with Scribbles, actually, and asked him if he would be willing to teach about Tinius Loci again, which is the second time that he's done that for this university, both now before and he will be joining us after.
That's taken fantastic.
I couldn't be more thrilled, and to have such a subject matter expert on staff is
indeed. I mean,
dream,
there's
really.
what, less than a dozen of them. It's a very intriguing field, especially with the others related. I mean, Scribbles and Scratch, but also automated, and it's definitely something that I'll be listening in on. And Network's going to grab a seat at least once. She'd love to know more about what she is.
Well, I'll when Faber starts taking his classes, I'll send you a timetable.
Hmm.
Oh, you don't need
That'd
to
be
skulk in the
fantastic.
rafters or anything like that. You can have a seat.
Oh, but it's so fun. Listen, sometimes you need a surprise drop-in, and it would be rather amusing for him to look up and see the glowing eyes of a jack-o'-lantern monkey.
Oh, please don't frighten him too badly.
Oh, I make no promises. I'll also get scribes on that front. It's if you've got unseen servant or that sort of stuff, you can enchant it on things. You can get transcripts of the things, like recordings, that sort of stuff. That might be helpful for students as well. A trick I've learned on a few other things. Another acolyte within my repertoire.
If that's a scribe thing, I'll have to ask Scribbles about that.
There are a few ways of enchanting it. I'll see if I can rattle a few people down for notes on that front. Up there with the personal assistant and such. You'll have a few of my folks around.
I'm glad that your network and my university can have such overlap in such a positive way when there's in such different industries.
Not really. It's all about care. All about information and people.
Yes.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere. But I shouldn't take up too much of your time. Well, I have taken up a bit of your time, including on the timetable. I gotta admit, being a high-class detective does have its perks. But if you had any paperwork that you needed to get on with that you didn't have time for, I think I've bought you an hour.
Thank you. Any time is useful time. As long as the sun's up, I must work.
I'll make sure to get you the good hands on that front. And hey, you're doing great.
Thank you.
All right. Now, why don't, before we get on with that work, we finish a good cuppa?
You went to all the effort of bringing out the tea set, so...
Hey, it's my favourite tea set as well. I did calligraphy on it, and she's now looking actively at the teapot with utter pride.
Sally's just going to sort of put a hand on her cheek and look at this pink teapot. I think I can see why.
I know. You should have seen the last one. It was much more creative. I used to have all the swears in all the different languages. Unfortunately, that one met a poor end.
Well, we do have classes on ceramics. Perhaps you would be interested in learning how to make a replacement.
Yeah. Maybe if the hands allow.
Perhaps.
All that's left, after all. And she does just extend the left hand at that.
Or it might be something that Network might be interested in down the line. She's still a bit young for university, but...
I don't quite know how she's going to age, but... I don't quite get how the lifespan on that sort of stuff. After all, she's 13 and a toddler. But also an adult. Sometimes it's... She's my soulmate.
Well... And Selli does actually get up from the chair and she heads over to her desk and rifles through one of the drawers, and she comes back with a booklet. It's like, you know those trifold brochures? It's about the thickness of one of those, but it is like width-wise, but it is several signatures put together. And she hands this to Lynn, and she just goes, "This is the current list of classes and lectures and short courses that the university is offering. I feel as though if anyone could make an argument for someone who's not gone through primary education to attend the university, it would be Faber, especially if it's Network. But if there is anything that she or you or Rai or anyone in your network is interested in, please do let us know. And likewise, if there's things that anyone in your network would be interested to teach that we don't have on our roster, let me know that too. We're always keen for more subjects, more teachers. Anything is worth learning. And so it's worth teaching.
Aye. No truer words than those. Thank you, Selli.
It's my pleasure.
And she does take it, and she does actually look at it very fondly. It's a quick scan over everything, and then in her pocket, just... Selli doesn't even need to roll. She can tell Lynn is full on actually taking care of it. It's not a cursory glance and dismiss. It's no, she's actually taking this on board.
Selli's very proud of her university.
Mm-hmm.
She may or may not have had to kind of rebuild it from the ground up to a degree, but, you know, she's very proud of her university.
Indeed. And she's doing an incredible job, and Lynn is absolutely going to be ferrying people her way on that front. Is there anything else you wish to discuss, Miss Selli?
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting you, so I didn't really have an agenda, but nothing immediately comes to mind. But don't feel as though you have to leave straight away if there was nothing else. Idle chatter has its appeal as well.
Oh, that it does. Good time for it then. And I've got enough for reports and such. nice. Just chatting.
I
So-
should tell you about the castle.
Oh, please pick and do.
And maybe we can cut it there.
Yes. That is the best place to cut it. Just the please pick and do. Talk to me about the castle.
Love that. And they just get to chatter about nothing while drinking tea. That is
Yeah.
that's sweet. That's nice. That's nice for
Lynn's
them
got-
both.
Yeah, Lynn's got enough that later on she can walk out of there with a nice little file and people go, important business took place in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it did. But also, the good chats.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Bless them.
Oh man. I was not
That was
expecting to
quite fun.
cry. I was not expecting to cry at all. But here we
Lynn
are.
has that effect. Lynn has that effect on people.
Oh boy. Well, it sounded authentic.
You sometimes you need to get to the heart of the matter and you need to make someone cry.
Yep.
As you do.
As you do. This was fun though. This is a delight. I actually really like playing Selli, even though she's a little bit of a stick in the mud sometimes.
She's great, she's fantastic, and we love to see it.
Oh dear, oh dear. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for playing with me, Vwild. This was great fun.
Indeed, happy to have done so. Shall we say goodbye to our wonderful audience?
Yes, let's.
Bye-bye all!
Bye.